Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing another premiere draft of the newest set, March of the Machine. Without further ado, let's just get into our pack 1 pick 1. We have a very sweet, very powerful first pack. We've got a great rare, Guardian of Ghirapur, which I think is what I'm going to take here. 3 mana for a 3/3 flyer is just a really nice rate in a draft format like this, and there are a lot of cards with good enter the battlefield effects. So it's not too hard to get some value from the ability to exile one of your creatures and return it to the battlefield. It does that with artifacts as well. There's not too many artifacts with great enter the battlefield effects in the format. We also have Captive Weird, which is an excellent uncommon. You can curve out with this pretty easily, playing it on turn 1, then flipping it on turn 3, where it kind of feels like it plays as a 3 mana 3/3 that draws you a card when it hits the board, which is absurdly good. There's also Ichor Drinker and Cosmic Hunger for pretty sweet commons in this pack. Just a really loaded pack in general, but we'll start with that Guardian of Ghirapur for the Great Flyer. Pack 1, pick 2. Bunch of solid cards here again. We've got Inga Rune Eyes, which is really good if you can trigger the death ability, have 3 creatures die in 1 turn. The best way to do that is to try to get a block where Inga trades into another creature. That would be 2 creatures dying in 1 turn, then do some kind of instant speed removal spell before combat damage happens, so that 3 creatures die. If you do that, you're going to be very far ahead in card advantage, and just the scry's already pretty good, so we could take Inga here as a strong card that also synergizes with the Guardian of Ghirapur. We can get that flicker going and scry 3 again. However, there is a card that synergizes even more powerfully with Guardian of Ghirapur, which is Converter Beast. I think this is just a stronger card to flicker with the Guardian, but a slightly weaker card overall. I'm a pretty big fan of Inga. There's other great blue cards here though. Invasion of Xerox is fine, and Temporal Cleansing's pretty good, so this might put other players on blue. So maybe, I don't know. Converter Beast isn't that much worse than Inga, and I do like green-white as an archetype quite a bit. Blue-white as an archetype is usually focused around knights, where Guardian of Ghirapur and Inga are both a little bit weird. So I'll take the Converter Beast actually in the end. That being said, we're going to stay pretty open here, because now we see multiple incredible black cards coming from the right. Hard to tell for sure what you're getting signaled early in March the Machine drafts, because there is that possibility of opening multiple rares in one pack. As you can see, there's no Multiverse Legend in this pack, so somebody drafted that as one of the first 2 picks, and there's only 1 other card missing, but somebody did take something. 2 people took something over a Pylon, which is an excellent, efficient black removal spell. Even Final Flourish is a pretty early pick, so I think I'm going to go with the Pylon here, see if we can hop into black, even if pick 3 is not really late enough for this to be a huge signal that black is open. Pylon is just a very, very good card. There's other great stuff too, like that 2 mana 2/1 flyer in the pack, but I think Pylon is the strongest of them all. And it's early enough to just take the strongest card in each pack. Pack 1, pick 4. Corruption of Tawashi is pretty powerful, but pretty slow mana-wise. If you get a lot of transforming cards, it plays really well. Not too hard to do that, because any incubators you get will transform. It also works if you ever flip a battle, like the Invasion of Mercadia. You'll draw another card off of the Corruption of Tawashi. Invasion of Mercadia is pretty powerful, but red's not a super good color that I try to hop into super early. I'll draft it when it's super open, but I would need a really strong like rare in red to hop onto the color super early. I think I'll just go with Nezumi Informant here. It's a pretty great black card, pretty comparable in power level to Corruption of Tawashi, even though they do very different things. Informant's just a very good early drop with a great enter the battlefield effect, which means it also synergizes quite well with our Guardian of Ghirapur. Pack 1, pick 5, we've got that Ichor Drinker I've been talking about. Well, I haven't really said why it's good, but I've mentioned it several times. It just has a lot of great synergies. There's a little bit of self-mill in the format. If you mill this, then boom, you've drawn another 3 mana 2/2. Just put it right into your graveyard. There's also sacrifice synergies. You can sacrifice this, get some extra value off of it. And there are incubator synergies sometimes. There's cards that care about having creatures with +1/+1 counters on board, or cards that care about having Phyrexians. Ichor Drinker just almost always finds some great synergy in your deck, no matter what archetype you are, and I think I'm going to go with the Ichor Drinker here and just get pretty married to black. we could go black-white Phyrexians, that's the general black-white archetype, or black-green Incubate is what that archetype is, and either of those decks, Ichor Drinker will fit quite well into. Pack 1, pick 6 now, we've got an Angelic Intervention for a very good combat trick in white. We have Arachnoid Adaptation for a decent combat trick in green, and we have Notvold Hermit for a decent creature in green. This card is fine, but generally when you draft it, you want to imagine that it's just a 4-mana 4/4. Don't draft it super highly. Yes, it is really explosive and can kill your opponent once you flip it, but you have to consider the fact that that is a 9-mana investment. 4 mana the turn you play it, 5 mana the turn that you flip it, so it plays really poorly against single target removal if you invest all that mana and get got there, so don't value this too much higher than you would just a 4-mana 4/4. And for that case, I'm just going to take the Angelic Intervention, because I think our white card is stronger than our green card here, and Intervention and Hermit are relatively comparable. I'd say the Intervention is also probably a little stronger, so I'll definitely go Intervention over Notvold Hermit there. Now we have Converter Beast competing with Bola Slinger. We are now 2 cards deep into white, only 1 card deep into green. I do like Converter Beast a little bit more than Bola Slinger, but not a lot more. They're both very, very close on power level. Bola Slinger, a great top-end card in aggressive strategies. Particularly good in green-white aggro, but it'll still be good in black-white if we're just generally aggressive black-white stuff. So I'll go for the Bola Slinger here over the Converter Beast. It does also synergize with the Guardian of Ghirapur's ability. Exile a Bola Slinger, put it back on the board, get another backup trigger. Pack 1, pick 8, I'm a very big fan of Aerial Boost as a combat trick because it has Convoke. Instant speed spells with Convoke are pretty busted because it's very, very hard for your opponent to play around them. You can quite often just have a Nezumi Informant and some white creature sitting on the board, and your opponent's not going to expect any tricks. All of a sudden they can get absolutely blown out by an Aerial Boost just by tapping that Informant and whatever else you have, so really like Aerial Boost. Swordsworn Cavalier would be the stronger card if we were blue-white. This is very good if you have knights entering the battlefield, but I don't think it's particularly great in black-white. Pack 1, pick 9, we can go ahead and take a black-white dual land or an Angelic Intervention. Already got 1 copy of Intervention and 1 Aerial Boost, so we have 2 excellent combat tricks already. I think I'd rather get a little bit of mana fixing. Alright, pack 1, pick 10. Angelic Interventions are just flying around everywhere. White is wide open. Again, I already have Boost plus Intervention. I think I might take the Hermit here so that we have the backup plan of green-white +1/+1 counter aggro. Our Bola Slinger, our Converter Beast, our Guardian of Ghirapur, our Angelic Intervention, and our Aerial Boost all play very well for a green-white token aggro deck, so we'll leave that route open here. Now take an Alabaster Host Intercessor. We are seeing some Knights late too. Maybe I should be open to blue-white Knights as a possibility. We didn't wheel a lot of other blue cards. We only wheeled this Protocol Knight. Like, we didn't see any of the really good blue cards like Inga or Captive Weird or anything come back. Yeah, I'm actually going to take Intercessor. I feel like blue-white is probably not being drafted super heavily right now. However, that doesn't mean that blue isn't being drafted heavily. I think the blue cards are sort of vanishing. There's still a Halo Charge Scab here, but that's really just a combo piece if you're lucky and open up one of the rares that combos with it. Arachnoid Adaptation, not bad at all if we're green-white. Alright, we're definitely white. We'll see exactly what white deck we are as we move into pack 2, pick 1. Alright, there's some really good stuff here. There's a couple okay white cards, Realmbreaker's Grasp and Swordsworn Cavalier. 1 excellent black card, Deadly Derision, and then another pretty good one, Nezumi Informant. And then 3 excellent green cards, Streetwise Negotiator, Tangled Skyline, and Invasion of Ixalan. So I have to make a pretty committal pick here. Well, it doesn't have to be committal, but I have to choose between a black or a green card here. I can't just scoop up one of these white cards. I don't think that's the right play. So whatever I take here might end up getting cut. Negotiator, I think, would be the strongest card for green-white aggro, but it might be Invasion of Ixalan for that potential 2-for-1, a draw spell, and then also a dinosaur. Best card for black's easily Deadly Derision. It's also really, really good. I'm going to go for the Deadly Derision here. We'll see how it plays out for us, but I feel like black and green both felt relatively equally open, which is like moderately open, not a ton. So really it depends on what the player on our left is drafting here. How rewarded we get for taking a black card over a green card there. For now, we're kind of rewarded because Renata's just okay in green-white. She's pretty slow. And that's really the only card for green-white. There's no good white card, there's just Enduring Bondwarden. There is an excellent black card and a couple excellent blue cards. I think I'm on the path of just avoiding blue this draft. I have to ditch all my black or green cards to go white-blue at this point. It could be worth it. Artistic Refusal and Invasion of Segovia are both very powerful, but as I said before, we didn't really wheel anything in blue. We didn't get the Bounce spell back, we didn't get the Inga back, we didn't get the Captive Weird back. There were 3 potential cards that could have came back. They're all pretty strong though, and all 3 got taken. So there's at least 3 blue drafters that took a blue card actively out of that pack instead of something in their other color. I don't think we're going to have a very good time trying to be blue. I feel like there's going to be a lot of competition, so I'll just take that Blight Reaper Thallid, which is a phenomenal 2-drop. It's still great. It's just not quite bomb rare like the Invasion of Segovia. Here we have a Bladed Battle Fan competing with Alabaster Host Intercessor. Technically, Obosh the Prey Piercer is a card you can play in a black deck. It's 2 black and 3. It plays as a 6/5 by itself, which isn't horrible, but we're definitely not companioning it, so it's just going to be an okay card. It's not going to be that monstrous. I think I'd rather just take another Alabaster Host Intercessor. Pack 2, pick 4, we could take an Alabaster Host Sanctifier now to have a 2-mana 2/2 lifelink on curve. Feels good to me. I don't think I have a lot of excellent 2-drops right now. Yeah, 2 of our 2-drops are spells. So we only have 3 2-mana creatures, one of which is pretty bad. Sun of the Gateway is not great. I think Alabaster Host is a little better than Sun of the Gateway. Not like a ton, but a little bit. I'm not going to go for the Gloomfang Mauler, big, slow, late-game cycler. Alright, we see a Vanquish the Weak here for solid removal. Invasion of New Capenna can be alright. You do have to have some pretty expendable stuff for this. I guess we do have an Ichor Drinker and an Azumi Informant. And Blight Reaper Thallid. That's 3 cards that give us something really expendable. We've already got a Pylon and a Deadly Derision for great targeted removal. We're still running Vanquish the Weak if we take it at this point, but if I get probably 2 more Deadly Derision style removal spells, it wouldn't make the cut. I guess I'll go for Invasion of New Capenna here. I guess it's kind of weird though, because the main cards competing there were 2 different removal spells, and I didn't really want to take a removal spell that pack potentially. But that's fine. Now there's just nothing good in white or black, so we'll take Kami of Whispered Hopes probably, because it can absolutely pop off if we're green-white +1/+1 counters, which is what we would be in green-white. Overgrown Pest is a great 2-for-1 value play though. I still think we probably already committed when we went for the Deadly Derision earlier this pack to being black-white over green-white, but we'll keep the green cards in the deck for now, so we can keep looking at them in the corner. Now we can take another excellent removal spell, Seal from Existence. Furia Judge of Valor is fine, but she's pretty slow unless you have a ton of 1/2-mana creatures to easily cast 2 spells in 1 turn. It's kind of difficult to do so in this deck, I think. I'm going to take Seal from Existence. Just get it. Well, you know what? No, I think my removal's good enough. I could try out Furia. I'm judging the Judge of Valor maybe a little harshly here. I have never actually tried to play Furia in this format. So all of my judging of Furia has been preemptive. Maybe she'll play really well. Seraph of New Capenna's okay. Quende's okay. Tiller of Flesh is okay. There's nothing excellent here. I'll take the Seraph, I guess. Not a massive fan of any of those. It's a pick 9 Streetwise Negotiator. I don't think I'm going to play Swordsworn Cavalry, so I'm going to take that. I guess this pack had 2 other very good green cards. It had the Tangled Skyline and the Invasion of Ixalan, so that kind of makes sense. Also, a pick 9 Afara's dispersed a lot of blue, though. All the blue cards got scooped up pack 1, and now they're not getting taken here, because Temporal Cleansing and Meeting of Minds are both back, too, which is weird. Well, I guess, again, those were in packs where we opened up, like, Captive Weird and Invasion of Segovia, so they were in packs where they were competing with bomb rares and great uncommons and stuff like that. Okay, so just in case we open an incredible green rare, what are our counts right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 black cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 green cards. We've got enough green cards. We could end up in green-white if I get some kind of green mythic rare, if I open Vorinclex or something like that. Alright, luckily we opened up a pretty solid white rare. Knight Errant of Eos. You have to convoke this. Well, you don't have to, but you should convoke this when you cast it, because then you get to look at the top 6 cards of your library and put 2 creature cards with mana value X or less into your hand, where X is the number of creatures that helped convoke the Knight Errant. It's a very good card draw spell. That being said, Deadly Derision, though. Deadly Derision, though. This is a format with some of the most explosive bombs of all time, and multiple rares in each pack, potentially. So just having that excellent instant speed removal like Deadly Derision is pretty important. And Deadly Derision is like the best common removal spell in the format, so I could see an argument for Deadly Derision over Knight Errant of Eos. The Knight Errant is a little bit cooler and a little more fun, though, so we'll take that. Alright, here we've got... Oh, we could have had a sweet green-white deck, but we'll have a sweet black-white deck. We'll be fine. I think either way, we would have had a pretty comparably powerful deck. The fact that a Botanical Brawler was opened up, though, means I think the green-white deck, if I committed to green at the start of Pack 2, would have been a bit stronger than the black-white, but not a massive amount. We have Scornblade Berserker versus Invasion of Ravnica here. I think I just want to take Invasion of Ravnica, 5 mana sorcery speed removal, but you get to exile basically any target, and you have a battle sitting on the board that might be able to 2-for-1 your opponent, where you play this as a removal spell and get a creature off this, which is absurd, so I'll take the Invasion of Ravnica. Now we've got another Ichor Drinker, which is beautiful. Wow, we could have had 2 Invasion of Ixalan? Well, we couldn't have foreseen opening up this many great green cards in Pack 3. But certainly the green-white deck was the place to be. I think I take an Ichor Drinker here, get another thing really cheap on the curve to help convoke out the Knight Errant of Eos as quickly as possible, as well as to help trigger Furia, Judge of Valor more often. And I've got enough good removal spells I won't end up running a Realmbreaker's Grasp over the other removal spells that we've drafted. So, pretty easy Ichor Drinker. I don't think I'll be playing anything out of this pack. I'm definitely not going to play a Saison. I think this card is unplayable. It's really, really bad. It's two-sided, so each player gets value off of this card, but it gives your opponent the card draw first, which is horrific. So you kind of just put your opponent up 2 cards the turn you play this. 3-for-1 yourself real quick. Yeah, I'm not going to play a 3rd Invasion, and I think I like our other 2 Invasions more than this one. I'm not going to play a 3rd Alabaster Host Intercessor either, though. Maybe I'll play a 1st Tarkir Dune Shaper, I guess. Still probably not. Alright, Knight of the New Coalition is pretty nice with our Guardian of Ghirapur. We can scoop that up. Pick 5 Preening Champion? I have no idea what I was supposed to do in this draft one. Green, white, or blue, white, I guess. So the blue cards all showed up too. Alright, well, Knight of the New Coalition, go with our Guardian of Ghirapur. Feels pretty good. I've already made my spiel on Yargle many times before, but really don't like 5 mana cards that trade into 2 mana cards. Is the gist of it. Pack 3, pick 6 now. Another Seraph is okay, but not great. Invasion of Belanon's pretty slow, pretty bad. Intercessor, number 3, I'm just not going to play. I'm not going to play a Mirrodin Avenge, not going to play an Oilcaster, I guess. Second Seraph of New Capenna it is. Not that that is particularly exciting. Play a 3 mana 3/2 Vigilance. No other text. It's also kind of hard to cast requiring double white. That's not going to happen. I'll just take a 3 mana 3/3. Not that I have a ton of knights in this deck, but a 3 mana 3/3 is a 3 mana 3/3. I can curve out with it and beat down and all that. If I do curve into Knight of the New Coalition, it'd be beautiful. Alright, well, clearly I was supposed to do everything in this draft pod. Because there's another Botanical Brawler, which puts me back on that green-white deck being potentially incredible. But we are black-white at this point. There's another blue removal spell, and the Botanical Brawler's still here. Whatever, I'll take it at this point. I'm not going to play another Dune Shaper or an Aeronaut or a Corrupted Conviction. I'm not going to play any of these. Don't need a third Seraph. Daxos is pretty hard to cast for not too much upside. Another Converter Beast for the green-white deck. Good grief. You know what, I take Invasion of Volgrotha here. I was going to say, if I can somehow wheel both of those Botanical Brawlers, I might try to pivot on to the green-white, but I can't wheel the other one because it was like pick 8. Which means unless there were 18 picks this pack or something, then it literally, it's impossible for it to come back. Because somebody has to last pick it before it comes to me. Alright, well I'm not super happy with how that draft went. We kind of made a coin flippy decision during pack 2 between pushing more towards black or more towards green, pushed more towards black, and then just saw all of the nuts for the green-white deck in pack 3. That's when all the Botanical Brawlers showed up. So that's obviously a bit awkward, but I think we still ended up with a pretty solid deck here, even if it isn't the best deck that we could have had in this draft pod. So we've got some room to swap some things around here. We have 47 cards out of 40, so we can make 7 cuts here. We've got 20 creatures and a Sunder the Gateway basically being another creature. Puts us all the way up to 21, so we'll definitely start by cutting down on some creatures. I don't think I need more than like 17 maximum. I also don't love running too many invasions. 2 is usually where I like to be there, and I think that Invasion of New Capenna and Ravnica are the strongest 2 for this archetype, so I think I want to cut Invasion of Volgrotha and then some creatures. Infected Defector is a very weak 5-drop. It's technically an okay amount of value for its cost over time, but it is real slow. Super low toughness for the cost. I don't love Attentive Skyward, and I can just pay for Incubators. So this is kind of like a 3-mana 2/2 that really doesn't do much other than that. The Seraph of New Capenna is at least flip into 3/3s, even if I don't sacrifice cards. So let's cut those 2 initially. Maybe cut a Tarkir Dune Shaper. We still have 2 1-mana creatures with the double Ichor Drinker. 4 2-mana creatures. That seems like plenty. 3 more cuts to go. Lancer is good with the Knight of the New Coalitions, but that's about it. Although Seraph of New Capenna really only has Informant, Thallid, and double Ichor Drinker. And we already have other stuff that wants to sack cards, like Invasion of New Capenna. Does this sack an artifact? It does sack a creature or artifact, so we do get that Bladed Battle Fan value, as well as potential treasure token value from Deadly Derision. So that's kind of cute. All of our sacrifice cards working well with random artifact tokens. So we're at 43 cards right now. We're at 17 creatures. We're basically at 18 creatures with Sunder the Gateway. Maybe Sunder the Gateway is the last creature I want to cut, but I think I'd rather get that curve nice and low and have as many 2-drops as possible. Keep the Sunder in here. Cut one of these 3s. It's going to be a Lancer or a Seraph, I think. 3 Knights in the deck, 4 Knights in the deck, I guess, with Swordsworn Cavalier, 2 Knight of the New Coalition, and Knight Errant of Eos. I think I'll cut Lancer over... You know what? No. I'm going to split the difference. We're going to play 1 Lancer, 1 Seraph. Because we'll still have 1 Seraph in there, so we'll see how well it plays, and I guess if the Seraph of New Capenna just keeps playing super well, we could cut the Lancer and throw the other one in. We are at 42 out of 40 cards. We are at 17 creatures now when you count the Sunder the Gateway. So we cut some non-creatures. I'm not going to cut these removal spells, which includes this battle. Probably just cut double aerial boosts. Battle Fan is actually probably the best combat trick in this deck because of Seraph of New Capenna and Invasion of New Capenna, where we can sack that Battle Fan for value. I don't know if Angelic Intervention or Aerial Boost is better as the other trick. Like, Intervention can save our creatures from removal spells, which is pretty nice, but I don't have too many creatures that aren't that expendable. So I don't think I need to, like, give a creature protection from a removal spell most of the time. And Aerial Boost, the Convoke looks pretty dang good in this deck. We have a lot of 1 and 2 mana cards, a lot of tokens lying around potentially from a flipped Blight Reaper Thallid giving us 1/1s, Knight of the New Coalition giving us Vigilant 2/2s. So I think Convoking seems like a pretty easy thing to do in this deck, to the point where I might cut the Intervention to keep a boost in. I might even cut a land here to keep both boosts. I think I'd rather cut one Intercessor. Well, I guess if I have 2 Intercessors, that's kind of like my 17th land. I just have to spend mana to pick it up, which is a downside. That is definitely a downside, but seems kind of reasonable, because I actually think Aerial Boost looks pretty sick in here. Aerial Boost might even be better than Bladed Battle Fan, but I do think Battle Fan has good synergies in this deck as well. A lot of nice little things we can do. The Aerial Boost has the ability to be convoked by all these random cheap dorky creatures, which is nice just in general, but it also really helps us cast 2 spells in 1 turn with Furia. Convoke spells make that a lot easier to do. So I think I want to leave both in. I'll leave both Intercessors in as well. We'll cut a land. We'll be a 16 land deck here, but we have double Intercessor, sort of making up for it. The problem with that is that this format's pretty aggressive, pretty tempo-based. Not like every game's going to end super fast, but it matters that you're making the most of your mana pretty well throughout the early turns, committing stuff to the board and everything like that, so it can be quite taxing to have to spend 2 extra mana to get a land instead of just drawing a land naturally. So, I mean, there's an argument for even just cutting an Intercessor for a land here naturally. But I think I'll still go for the 16 land double Intercessor. We'll see how that plays out for us. We've got 16 white cards, 9 black. I cut the wrong land. Swap that around, but after that, we will call it a deck there. Alright, here's a look at our final deck for today. It's going to be a black-white sacrifice sort of archetype. Pretty aggressive deck, really nice curve of a lot of 2 mana, 1 mana creatures. That way we can convoke some big late game plays and just curve out with a lot of cheap expendable creatures. We have cards like Ichor Drinker that give us value from the graveyard, Nezumi Informant that gives us value the second it hits the board, and Blight Reaper Thallid giving us some tokens. That way we have a bunch of expendable stuff for some of our other spells that like to sacrifice things, like Invasion of New Capenna. We can sack those to use removal, and Seraph of New Capenna, we could sacrifice them to buff our flyer and deal some extra damage. We also use all these tokens and cheap creatures to go wide and cast some convoke spells for really cheap, with Knight Errant of Eos, Pylon, and double Aerial Boost, all being very strong convoke spells. Other than that, just curving out with a bunch of cheap little dirtly creatures can also pressure our opponent's life total a lot, and give us the creatures to attack battles pretty aggressively, potentially flip those the turn we play them. Cards like Invasion of New Capenna and Invasion of Ravnica that we could flip. We've got some other stuff at the top end, like Furia Judge of Valor, that has a lot of synergy in this deck. First of all, of course, if we have an Ichor Drinker in our hand, being able to have a 1 mana card and something else to cast alongside it would make the Furia pretty easy to trigger, getting 2 spells cast in 1 turn. But Furia also works with Convoke quite well. With our Convoke spells, we can more easily cast 2 spells with 1 turn because we can tap our creatures to help pay for the mana cost. So that's another way to get 2 spells cast in 1 turn. And with both of our battles being solid removal spells, if we have a decently sized board state, we can play a battle, remove their blocker, and attack and flip that battle in 1 turn, which will also count as casting 2 spells in 1 turn. So pretty actually excited about Furia here. I'm hoping that Furia plays pretty well, because there's a lot of things that look like they should play out pretty well with Furia's ability. And yeah, we're hoping for the best on that one, but Overall, as I said before, bunch of solid creatures, bunch of solid removal spells, and some great combat tricks. Generic aggro stuff with some unique synergies to it. Looks pretty good, but we'll have to see how it actually does as we head into the gameplay. Alright, here we are on the play for game 1. Not a big fan of not being able to play any creatures till turn 3, but takes a decent amount to convince me to mulligan a 3-lander that has both of our colors in a draft format. If the mana's looking good, and I've got at least one thing to do in the first few turns, I'm generally going to keep the hand. Even if it's not super exciting. And double combat trick is certainly a little bit awkward with only one creature in the hand. Another 3-mana creature, Seraph of New Capenna is the draw. Our opponent is playing green-black. Color pair that can usually make a lot of incubator tokens, and they are going to lead off with a Gift of Completion, giving them a 3/3 incubator. So 2 mana to flip that, then they'll have a 3/3 Phyrexian. Well, we drew a 2-mana creature, but we drew it on turn 3 off curve, which is pretty bad. That being said, it plays well with Zhalfir and Lancer, because at least it is a knight. So if we play it after we play the Lancer, then we get to attack with the Lancer as a 4/4 Vigilance, which is a pretty big deal. Especially if I hit another land to be able to easily hold up either combat trick. But even if I don't draw land, I could play the Cavalier, buff the Lancer, attack with it, while holding up an aerial boost thanks to the Convoke. Okay, we didn't draw land, so the only way to hold up aerial boost would be to play the Cavalier. That being said, they don't have the mana to flip either of these incubators, so we could just play Seraph of New Capenna for now. And just not hold up aerial boost, because I'm not going to be getting blocked. So our opponent did play a Blighted Burgeoning last turn, which means that now they have a mana of any color from this swamp. So any kind of splashes for any powerful bombs are available now. Thankfully, we do have a pile-on if something too explosive happens. But there are some bombs in the set that a pile-on is not going to deal with. Alright, we do draw into an Ichor Drinker, which is actually quite nice. I really want to hold up Battle Fan so they can't just block Lancer with Finn the Fangbearer here. Which is a bit of an issue. That means I don't get to play a Knight this turn. I guess I just go to combat and send in the squad. This doesn't give reach, it just lets them surveil. Okay. Send in the squad. Probably going to be playing a Battle Fan and an Ichor Drinker. No blocks. Interesting. Well, there's the Ichor Drinker. I hate missing out on the Lancer value, but I probably do need to just keep playing creatures here and drop the Cavalier. Be mana efficient. I still get to hold up aerial boost. Thanks to the Convoke. Arena is an absolute snitch though, and it's going to make it very obvious that I have something with Convoke. So if our opponent has played a lot of this format, then they could know that I have exactly aerial boost, or that I'm holding full control mode to bluff aerial boost. Ooh, Knight Errant of Eos. Big fan. Big fan. I might just poke them in the sky. And then run this out, tapping pretty much everybody. Trying to draw a couple 3-mana or less creatures. Seems fine with me. take a hit here. My opponent wants to hit us. We are not going to have blockers up. Tandem takedown. Alright, Finn has death touch, so even if I aerial boost, it doesn't matter. Only found an Azumi informant, and then all my lands, basically. There's an invasion of New Capenna. If they don't have removal to kill the Seraph of New Capenna as well, then I'd be dead pretty fast. Should probably hold up the battle fan before I do anything else. But I am going to drop an informant post-combat. Okay, if they don't kill it during combat on my turn, I am going to play Nazumi Informant. Holding up an aerial boost. We might just be trying to aerial boost them for lethal sometime soon. Like, if I hit my 4th land, I can play Knight of the New Coalition to buff Zhalfir and Lancer a bunch, and then just aerial boost to send it into the sky and kill them with it. Because Seraph hits for 2, Lancer would hit for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that'd be very lethal. Alright, they are out of cards here. And they're just going to put some counters on their Phyrexian token. So 0 flyers or reach creatures. If I hit a land, aerial boost straight kills them. Not against Preening Champion, but I can pile on the Preening Champion during my end step. Or during their end step, so that if I do hit the land, they are dead. And even if I don't, I think I'm going to want to just kill the flyer. But I guess if I don't draw land, just Battle Fan to kill it might be better. Well, I do get to Surveil turn to dig for that land, which is important here, it looks like. Alright, beautiful. Good thing that card lets me Surveil, because looks like the land was quite a ways away from us. Full control to make sure it doesn't auto-tap this. Alright, there we go. 9 damage in the sky, and they scoop them up. That is going to be 1-0 to start it off as we head into game 2. And I do want to mention something mana-wise. We did not draw either of our Plane Cyclers either, so that wasn't even like a matter of getting punished for 16 lands, because we didn't hit the cards that we replaced land 17 with anyway. So here we are for game 2. Our opponent is on the play. We are on a mono-black hand, mana-wise, with 3 white spells and no plays till turn 3 on the draw. That's enough things going wrong that I'm definitely going to mulligan that one. This is significantly better, but if I do not hit a land, it's going to be sad. Not that sad, though. I could wait like a turn, unless their hand is great. We're already starting down a card now, though. So I guess we'll see. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to drop the Seraph of New Capenna, I think. So even if I don't hit lands, I've got multiple things to do, and if I do hit lands, I can make it up to a very strong removal spell, potentially. Okay, we do hit land number 3. I do need another swamp for the Deadly Derision later. Our opponent does have a Wary Thespian turn 2, but Nazumi Informant should play pretty well against that. It's going to make them discard a card, and then they probably don't attack in to a 1-1 with their 3-1. That's interesting. You just want to play a combat trick here, or do they have a better 1 toughness card? That's awkward. I'll take the damage because I'm going to Guardian of Gear per the Informant. I was hoping this would just disincentivize them from attacking at all, but still go for it here. Alright, here's the Guardian of Gearper. on the Nezumi Informant. Cycle a Furnace Host Charger for a red source, specifically just a mountain. They have 2 cards left in their hand, one of which is Cosmic Hunger to kill the Guardian. Now they have 1 card left. Alright, I guess they just wanted to trade the 3-1 into the 1-1. Very fine with that now. I need to hit another black source or I'm just going to die from mana issues. But if we find the next black source, we're pretty far ahead, card advantage-wise. As long as they don't draw into anything explosive, they've only got 1 card left now. That is Plains number 4, which is really bad here, because it's kind of completely useless. Because we need double black and then 3 Plains to get to Furia, which means the 4th Plains is just, like, redundant. Alright, they're just going to hold up the Blade Master so I don't get to crack back at them. Let's play the Cavalier. I don't have any cards that make me discard to draw a card, and our opponent isn't on black to have anything to make us discard, so I'm just going to run out the lands. This will make it so if we draw into some cheap enough spells to cast 2 spells in 1 turn, we've got all the lands out for them. Sunder the Gateway doesn't really do anything right now, so I think I just hold on to it. Because it's not going to change how we attack pretty much at all. So I think at this point I should probably hold 2 drops so that when I do hit the next swamp, Furia gets to actually double spell at some point. Probably attack with both while they don't have the mana to buff the Blade Master. And I'm going to turn off emotes for now. Nahiri's Warcrafting, that's very good here. They get to kill the Cavalier and draw a card out of the top 4 cards of their library. They're going to choose a Blossoming Sands, pick up land number 5. With Portent Tracker, that is mana number 6, and we have hit Plains 5 before Swamp 2. That is not lovely. They don't have the mana for Blade Master again, so I probably just attack with everybody. I guess I should have just played Sunder the Gateway at this point. Just to have another 2-2 to attack with. The 2-2s are working on it. If I hit the swamp now, though, I could Furia into Derision plus Sunder later, but yeah, this is awkward. I should have just Sundered earlier. I would have hit them for 2 to 4 more damage. They might be down to 6 right now. Definitely down to 8. So there's a Windscarred Crag for another piece of life gain. The Halo Hopper. Pretty dorky. Drawn to an aerial boost now. Save that for trying to find lethal later. Send in everybody. Untap Blade Master with something. Tandem Takedown. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage to the Sanctifier. Yeah, aerial boost not going to change that. Aerial boost will change this. Probably worth doing. They have another 1 mana trick here. Nope. Alright. Invasion of Ikoria for 4. Search for the best creature in their whole deck that costs 4 or less, or the best creature in their graveyard that costs 4 or less. Has to be a non-human, but generally a very powerful tutor effect. Streetwise Negotiator? That's pretty good at attacking the invasion, because if they do flip the invasion of Ikoria, they pretty much win the game. They get an 8/8 that can deal all of its damage. Well, that makes it so their whole board can deal its damage as though they didn't have anything blocked. Well, Invasion of Ravnica can kill the invasion of Ikoria after they flip it. So if I attack with everybody, they trade the Negotiator off and then flip into Zalortha. And then I just exile Zalortha with Invasion of Ravnica next turn. I could play and flip this right now. Kill the Negotiator, flip a Guild Pact Paragon. Then I have a 5/5 blocker for the Blade Master, and they have the mana up to buff it one time, which means they just have a 5/5 attacking. That seems a little risky, though, a little sketchy. Because then if they have a removal spell, they just removal spell into flipping Zalortha, and then if I don't draw my swamp, I die. Alright, they're going to get a Zalortha on board, which is absolutely gigantic. And Invasion of Muruganda to fight my last creature. Make the Blade Master better. It's a good draw. Found the black source, but it hits the board tapped, which means they get to flip Invasion of Muruganda. That's so frustrating. Part of the snowbally, steamrolly aspect of battles, where they take you from a bad position to a way worse position, where I'm getting punished hard for not drawing a second black source, and now I'm getting punished monstrously hard, where if this was just a swamp, I could derision the Blade Master and we keep them from having another creature, but now, instead of an empty board state, they are going to have a Primordial Plasm. I'll let them hit me next turn to get a Furia down so that when I do cast Derision, it could be with 2 spells to get the card draw going. Down to 8. There's Invasion of Rogotha to put me down to 4. I can play Aerial Boost and Deadly Derision in one turn. Use the Aerial Boost to flip Invasion of Ravnica, I guess, then, so I have a 5/5 blocker up. Can Plasm buff itself, though? Can't buff itself, but they could crew the Flywheel Racer with the Plasm and then buff the Racer with the Plasm to make it a 5/4 attacking into my 5/5, and then I have to trade that off. I definitely have to Deadly Derision the Blade Master, though. So I feel like it's probably worth it to do the main phase Aerial Boost thing. To flip Invasion of Ravnica. Drawn to a Knight of the New Coalition for next turn. Guess I'm casting 3 spells this turn, which is redundant, but I couldn't flip the Invasion of Ravnica without casting Aerial Boost. Maybe I was supposed to just Aerial Boost Furia and then flip the battle and then hold up Deadly Derision? I totally forgot that flipping a battle counts as casting a spell. That would have been the better play. Because flipping a battle counts as casting a spell, I could have waited on Derision. Try to flip Invasion of Rogotha. I think I have to trade. a 4/4 prowess and it does some other nonsense. I think I have to trade. Bola Slinger, do I have 8 mana? Sure do, exactly 8 mana. So we get the card draw going. Again. Drawn to a Pylon, an Alabaster Host Intercessor, or an Ichor Drinker. Well, definitely don't choose the Ichor Drinker, because that's got a great ability in the graveyard. I'm going to pick up the Pylon. If I don't attack with Furia here, then I can hold up Pylon without sacking the treasure, but since I have the treasure, I'm still holding up Pylon with just these 3. Which is pretty beautiful. They're going to scoop them up. Furia, Judge of Valor, saves us from the jaws of defeat. Some awkward mana starting that game off. A long time to get to that second black source, but Furia really brought us back in the game with that card draw. That was incredible. I didn't think we had any chance there near the end when it just took so long to get to that black source, but really judged our way back in there. We are 2-0 now. I am going to edit the mana base a little bit. I'm going to go to... That's so awkward, this mana base. We were basically on a 9-8 split. 9 white sources, 8 black sources, thanks to Scoured Barons. I don't have any double white cards. This might be wrong, but I'm going to go 9-8 black to white again. We'll see how that plays out for us. Either way, excellent start. Really hard-fought game there. Incredible work done from the Judge of Valor. We are now 2-0 heading into Game 3. Here we are for Game 3. Our worst case scenario is that we Planescycle Alabaster Host Intercessor on turn 2 to make sure we have the 3rd land for Guardian of Gear per turn 3, but I am going to keep this hand, I think. It is a little sketchy. A little slower on the mana curve. We need to draw into some more lands. We can't just have these 3 lands, but we could draw. If we draw our lands uncurved, then this hand curves out really well. And there's land number 1. I should, if I don't draw into a 2-drop, I should still just Planescycle the Intercessor, I think. Most likely. Because I want to make it all the way up to 5 mana on the curve, and with Furia I probably want to make it even farther. As we saw last game, we got good value from having 8 mana on board. So we'll just Planescycle the Intercessor here. Serpent's Blade Assailant. It's going to be just a 3/2 Death Touch by itself, it's fine. Grab a Plains. Okay. Drop a Guardian of Gear per no enter the battlefield value, but that's fine. It is still a 3 mana 3/3 flyer, which is worth running out. Yeah, we're missing the value of being able to play the Knight and then flicker the Knight, but I think it's valuable enough to actually get things rolling and have a creature on the board this turn. Green, blue. They could bounce the Guardian back to our hand. I think that's the scariest thing they could do. Well, they could shoot it for damage. They could have the Assailant deal damage equal to its power to it. Alright, love having the Judge of Valor alongside a Pylon here for that Convoke removal spell. Should be nice and easy to cast 2 spells in one turn, especially with 2 Vigilant creatures to go with the Convoke. And our opponent has 1 Serpent Blade Assailant and nothing else right now. I'm just going to attack with everybody. If I cast Furia pre-combat, there's a 0% chance of also casting Pylon this turn anyway, because I'm going to attack with the flyer, so no reason to pre-combat a Furia here. Okay, they're just going to trade the Death Toucher into the 2/2, and they're down to 12. Okay. Here's Furia, Judge of Valor. There's the white source. Maybe that's what's going wrong for them. Yeah, there's a Botanical Brawler, so like green-white +1/+1 counters, splashing in something in blue. I think they already mulliganed down to 6, so they might just have an awkward hand mana-wise after already having mulliganed. and that could explain the just lack of stuff they get to do here. I take an aerial boost. It's a pretty good finisher, no matter what they play out to block with. They're down to 5. We're holding up a pylon. Feels relatively insurmountable. I guess if they play in other planes and they have a Sunfall in their hand to exile all creatures, they could kind of get back into the game, but it's like they do not have that. Just a really awkward hand for them off of Mulligan, so rough game for our opponent. Not a particularly earned victory for us, but we'll still take it. We are going to be 3-0 now, getting at least 1,000 gems out of the event, at least a 50-50 win rate. Great place to start it off as we head into Game 4. Here we are on the play for Game 4. This is technically a 2-lander because of the Intercessor, but it's also a mono-colored hand, and I need a second land to turn the Intercessor into a land, so that is just a straight mulligan there. This is better. Probably get rid of the Intercessor here, honestly. Play a 3-drop into a 4-drop. Kind of slow, not glacially so. Our opponent also takes a mulligan to 6, and they'll start things off with a Dismal Backwater, being at least on blue and black, the strongest 2 colors in the format. Blue, black, and white Marshal of Zhalfir on turn 2. Naturally. Well, not naturally, off a non-basic. But still impressive to hit a gold card turn 2 in a 3-color, at least, deck. So here's Zhalfir and Lancer. And they pass the turn. I like having cheap combat tricks like Battle Fan in the hand when I have a Furia coming up, so I'm going to just run out the Bola Slinger. Hope it resolves here, so we can just attack with Lancer, tap down the Marshal. Not that we need to tap down the Marshal on board, but it's nice to do so in case they have a combat trick. Okay, they're just going to use the Marshal's ability to tap down the Lancer, fair enough. Moderately forgot about that effect, but that's okay. I think it's still better to put the counter on the Lancer than the Slinger because we do have the Flicker card in this deck. Okay, lock down the Lancer, so we attack with the Slinger then. They're not gonna block, but I guess if they do, we get to Battle Fan, but there's no way they block here. Yeah. Alright, I think I was on copium when I said that putting the counter on the Lancer was better when they have the Marshal of Zhalfir ability out. I think it probably would have been better to spread it out. Counter on Slinger, counter on Slinger, and have just a 3/3 Lancer. I guess I could pile on the Protocol Knight. Then if Bola Slinger gets to attack, they have no blockers up. I guess they're already not going to have blockers up because they're just going to tap. Yeah, let's go for it. This also gets to Surveil, so we get to set up our draws, make sure we hit land 5 for Furia. And hopefully hit specifically a Plains. Ew. Cyber Cryptomancer is disgusting here. Countering my removal spell. Giving them another creature. And letting them keep the mana up for Marshal of Zhalfir still. I'm just going to Knight Errant. I'm not even going to try to attack here. Full control so I can spend the mana how I want to. Hey, 2 creatures. Let's go. Alabaster Host Sanctifier and Ichor Drinker. I'm going to play the Sanctifier. Ichor Drinker is the better card to have if I hit land 5 for Furia. Easier to double spell with that. They go for the tap down on the Sanctifier, so they might be casting a removal spell on the Knight Errant. Just getting some combat damage in this turn. Knight of the New Coalition. That's 2 3/3s thanks to Marshal of Zhalfir. Which is pretty dang good. Now if we hit another removal spell, we definitely want to try to kill Marshal. Wouldn't have mattered if I tried to kill Marshal instead of Protocol Knight earlier though, because they had the Cryptomancer either way. Is probably the play to Planescycle this Intercessor, despite it being really strong if I make it to 6 mana. Fury is definitely very good, and we guaranteed make it to 5 mana if I cycle this. I do not have any attacks into that 5/6, so I think I just passed the turn here. I don't think Ichor Drinker really affects the board state enough to play that, instead of just keeping it around to double spell with Furia. Oh no. Double Marshal of Zhalfir. Looks like black is just a splash for some kind of rare, or an Invasion of Amonkhet or something. This is just a very nice blue-white Knights deck from our opponent in general. At the core of the deck, the Dismal Backwater seems definitely like a splashy thing, not a core color thing. Alright. They could have the 2-mana counterspell here. Guess I can go to combat and see if they tap something down. They don't. Oh, they don't have another white source. They only have 1 plains. So they don't even have an opportunity to tap out of the counterspell mana. Alright, I guess I just cross fingers. Alright, cool. No counterspell. Furia resolves. Don't know how long she'll stay on the board, but we'll find out soon enough. This is the first time in my life that I have read the flavor text on the Multiverse Legend version of this card, and that is incredible. She's just out here annihilating Phyrexians. Whew. That is some fantastic flavor text. Alright, well this is probably absolutely devastating for me. I guess I can get a chump block with Ichor Drinker, and that's pretty free. I think I need to try to find removal for one of these Marshal of Zhalfirs rather than trying to trade my 4/4s into their cards that are actually just 2/2s at the core. Ideally. Oh my god, 3 Marshal of Zhalfir, not even halfway into their deck? Where they draft 6 copies? Most open blue-white Knights draft pod says hello. Now they Cleansing Furia. I mean, that's just game. What are you going to do against the triple Marshal? I guess I tuck Furia away, hit a land this turn. I've got a Battle Fan and an Ichor Drinker, which really is not going to do enough for me. I guess at this point I should probably run out the next Ichor Drinker, but it's 2 5/5s with Vigilance, a 7/8, 3 tappers. Just go 6 power toughness on each 5/5. I could Battle Fan. These are 1-for-1 trades if they don't have a trick. And they probably have a trick, judging by the fact that they went for these attacks last turn too. Well, let's see. I guess we can have Battle Fan up in case of a trick. We maybe still win with a Battle Fan. Not against Angelic Intervention. I could keep one of my creatures there, but I can't kill the Knight of the New Coalition because it's going to have protection from white. That is pretty bad. And there goes the board state. I guess I could cast this Battle Fan after I cast Furia, and that'd be 2 spells. Oh, turn the Battle Fan into an Anticipate instead, draw 1 card out of the top 3. Is that better than having an indestructible trick on blocks? Honestly, it might be. I don't know how far a Battle Fan even gets us on blocks anymore. We have 7 total power out if I Battle Fan. Yeah, that just feels like it gets us nowhere. I still have to triple block to kill the 6/6, and they can just Marshal of Zhalfir down a card. Is it better to Ichor Drinker now, though, instead of Battle Fan, though? I don't know. I think I just have to Battle Fan and just draw a card and hope to hit something great. Invasion of Ravnica's okay. I don't think it's enough. Oh my god, and Invasion of Ravnica actually can't hit a Marshal of Zhalfir because it's exactly 2 colors. Alright, well, I mean, this was just an absolutely absurd deck from our opponent. I don't know what decks can beat this, but it is certainly not our deck. It's lethal, isn't it? 15, 20, oh my god. Or it's 19. No, it's 17, I'm so bad at math. 17 damage if I double block like that. 14 damage if I block like this. I have to just double jump. Oh my god. Man, it is just salt in the wound that they stop drawing lands after land 4. It's just all gas. Alright, I'm mega dead no matter what I do. 3-1 as we head into game number 5. Here we are for game 5 with a pretty sweet hand. Love having these cheap creatures to roll out with. Got a Deadly Derision and a Furia for later in the game. Kenra's Spell Spear is going to be the start for our opponent. Dropping that on the play on turn 2 is pretty bad for me. I'm going to drop Swordsworn Cavalier because even if they prowess trigger the Spell Spear, the Cavalier can trade into it. Or even if they flip it. Yeah, so they're just going to flip it and pass, which is horrific. 3/3 trample, ward 2, double prowess. They cast 1 spell and it's a 5/5. It costs 2 more damage, or 2 more mana to target it, so I need 6 mana to derision it, 7 mana to Invasion of Ravnica it, and I can't even target it with that one because it is 2 colors. Ooh, this is a very scary start from our opponent. Double prowess is monstrous. If I hold Cavalier up on blocks and then triple block this thing, if they have any removal spell at instant speed for 4 mana or less, they wipe our entire board and trample over for damage. So I don't think I can afford to attempt to double or triple block the Spellstalker on blocks. I guess I could single block it with a Cavalier. I could also do this. I can force them to have 1 prowess, but I don't think it would be worth it to hold the Cavalier back and go for a triple block here. Show me 1 prowess. Okay, I guess I still lose the whole board this way. But I would have lost the most important side of the board no matter what. 2/2 and the 1/1 were not that important. I have no idea what I even do here. Just Informant and Ichor Drinker right now. Just looking for land 5. We can deal with everything other than the Spell Stalker. City on fire to the grave. My opponent did not believe they were going to make it to 8 mana this game. They were like, no, my opponent's going to die way before I have the mana for City on Fire. Which is probably true. Well, I'm just going to kill Ayara immediately, I think, and poke them for 1. One versus 3/3, let's go! Land number 6 for our opponent. If they don't have many more spells in hand, they're kind of flooding out, which could be big for us. I could try to flip this and block with 3 power toughness, but if they do have a prowess, that's going to play bad. I'm going to be a little greedy here. I'm going to go for Furia, see if we can get that value going. They probably have an instant. They are thinking. They're at least in full control mode. But much more likely that they just have an instant, and Arena is an absolute snitch. Hopefully it's not removal for Furia. Hopefully it's something they're trying to get a prowess trigger off of, and the fact that they let it pass through there means it is definitely a prowess spell. They passed through and then attacked with this, so... Oh, it is Vanquish the Weak. I guess they were like, might as well get the extra damage in here. Because they don't have anything else to do with the rest of their mana. Hate that. Could play and flip a Blight Reaper Thallid, that I block their 3/3 with a 3/3. They don't have another spell drawn. They've got another spell drawn. 3 mana value or less as well. I'm gonna crack the treasure. I'm gonna save the life. Gonna Vanquish right now before I get a 1/1. Jesus Christ. Alright. Get in there, informant. One last card in their hand, and it would be Breach the Multiverse. Well, that is what happens when Kenra's Spell Spear flips on turn 3 on the play. We had a shot if they didn't have a Breach the Multiverse also. If their last card in hand in the end was just another land, we could recover here slowly. Holding up enough power to block this if they didn't have a prowess card. Make them sit here and wait till they draw into something to attack. Alright. That's very dead. Well... 1 second. Technically, it's not completely dead. No, it is. It is. I'm 1 mana off from it not being lethal. Because I could Invasion of Ravnica the Intercessor to get a 1/1, and then I could play land flip this 2/2. I guess even then they could just sacrifice something to Ayara. No, that's damage equal to the mana value, so that would have just been 2 damage sacking the Spellstalker. Yeah, so if I had 1 more land, I could Invasion the Intercessor, get an Informant on the board, and then flip the 2/2. And that we block, and we're live for a turn, but... It would have been a winning line, but... Would have been another turn. We are going to be 3-2 now. The hard pivot. Screech Drift from 3-0, undefeated. Hopefully not all the way down to 3-3. We'll see if we can course correct here and regain control of the vehicle before we drive off the intersection. Here we are now for game 6. Pretty weak hand. We have both of our colors, but we don't do anything till turn 3, and we only have 1 creature to go with Invasion Nuke Ban, and it's something we don't want to sacrifice even. I feel like I kind of have to mulligan this. Our opponent's on the play, and we're not doing anything till 3. And there's a lot of lands too. A lot could go really wrong with that. I will definitely keep this one. Ichor Drinker into Informant into Guardian, make them discard 2. And that's a really good 1-2-3 curve. Our opponent's on mono black so far. Could just be to play a Timuret or something. Aetherblade Agent is the play. I will offer trade of Ichor Drinker into Aetherblade Agent, and then I also think they're likely to not attack into a Nezumi Informant. With that, although if they do, I can just take 1 and go back to 20. Alright, got them to discard a Surge of Salvation, so it is the mirror. No, it is not the mirror. They are 3 colors plus. So they discarded a white card, but they've played Swamps and Forests, so they're black, green, white. Okay. Ichor Drinker for Nezumi Informant isn't that good of a trade, especially when I have a powerful Convoke card in my hand that I want to convoke with as many creatures as possible for. Right, so we get them to discard a Tarkir Dune Shaper. So they must be black, white, splash, green? Likely. How many 3-mana creatures do I have in this deck? Is it worth it to not attack with Guardian of Ghirapur? There are 2 3-mana creatures in this deck. Total. Left in there. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 2-mana or less creatures. So we up it from 4 potential hits to 6 potential hits. That's probably worth convoking to draw more cards. Although none of our 2 3-mana creatures really matter. I guess Seraph of New Capenna, if I hit that, it kind of matters, but I need to get through this Aetherblade Agent. You know what? I'm just going to hit them for as much damage as I can while I still can, while they're struggling to hit one of their core colors. And I'll just see if I hit any 1 or 2 drops. Okay, I only hit a 2-drop, which is fine, because that means even if I had convoked the Guardian of Ghirapur, I would not have drawn an extra card off of the Knight Errant regardless. Alright, and luckily our opponent's still stuck on mana, is just going to scoop out of frustration there in the end. So we will get a 4th victory and at least pretty much break even here. 1,400 gems and 3 packs no matter what. Happy to be here, because I don't think that this draft ended up perfectly. Obviously, green-white, blue-white would have been stronger places to be in the end based on what happened in pack 3. So the fact that we at least get a 4 and 3 here with our more average, more mediocre way that the draft ended up, I'm pretty happy with that. Pretty much get our entry fee back. So we have course corrected here. We've saved ourselves, so we're not going to fly off the rails. We're going to course correct a little bit. We're just going to calmly, smoothly drive right on home. Might not do it in a super cool way, but we've at least made a reasonable day out of this. So Zhalfirin Lancer, Seraph of New Capenna, we don't do anything till turn 3. On the draw, that's pretty bad. On the play, I'm already a little bit sketched out if I don't know anything till turn 3, but I'm still okay with it. On the draw, where your opponent starts rolling things out turn 1, it can be a death sentence. But, I don't know, 2 creatures to go with these combat tricks. Both of our colors is always important. And it's pretty borderline, but I am going to keep it. Opponent is on white-red with Enduring Bond Warden to start things off. The general archetype idea for red-white is backup. There are some cards that will like double up your backup abilities and stuff like that, but it usually ends up just playing out as just red-white aggro in general. Right, well, we're taking 5 there, thanks to Cavalier's First Strike. I think I'm going to play a 3-3 blocker rather than a 2-2 in the sky. And I get to hold up an aerial boost, which is pretty sweet. Our opponent's at 4 mana now. If we can survive their initial onslaught, they will kind of run out of cards here. But that's a Quende to go with the Swordsworn Cavalier to make it a 6-power double striker? Do I trade 2 cards into that? Trade Lancer and Aerial Boost into it? If I don't, I go down to 8, but I think I don't. Because they have to run out of Knights eventually when... I don't think there's any Knights in red. You gotta run out of white cards eventually, just in general. Alright, they're gonna move their +1/+1 counters over to Quende here. That is the plan. 4/4 double strike's pretty big. I guess I'll have to 2-for-1 trade into that. They have one final card in hand. It's a Swordsworn Cavalier to trigger the other one. Wow. Wow. Alright. Well, we're certainly killing Quende. I go to 2 against a red deck. The other option is to chump. I guess I could double block 1 chumps and 1 trades. That feels so bad, though. Going to 2 is also so bad. Two-for-one trades galore. Let's go. Alright, Nezumi Informant trades into the Cavalier. Bladed Battlefan trades into the Sentinel. It is a top deck war. This way, if they have the removal spell to play around Bladed Battlefan, they just kill the 1/1 instead of killing the flyer. Alright, cool. Battlefan trades into the 2/2. Informant is still around to trade into the Cavalier. I guess I can flip the Seraph of New Capenna for more damage because I've got the mana up to not shoot myself in the face. 4 damage a turn, it's a 5-turn clock. They're playing off the top. They do get a Bond Warden to buff the Cavalier so the Informant can't block it anymore unless I move the Battle Fan back. But I can move the Battle Fan back, so that's okay. Ooh, Invasion of New Capenna. Could exile the Cavalier. I think I'd rather try to trade Informant into it. Although... this would flip immediately, but it just flips into an equipment, which is fine. But it would only flip immediately if I sack the Informant instead of the Battle Fan, because I have to do 4 damage to it. I think I'm holding on to this for something else later. Alright. Oh, Alabaster Host Sanctifier is a sweet one. A life-linking blocker. The Magic Arena Shufflers being so real right now. We appreciate that. Core Halberd makes that 3 toughness now. And vigilance. Oh lord, I have to block, so I guess I 2-for-1 rather than chump. Well, I theoretically lethal them here. This was their top deck, 100% for sure. Means if I do this, and then... no, I don't lethal them, because this has vigilance. If it didn't have vigilance, I'd lethal on the crackback. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can hit for 6 in the sky, which is not lethal. Yeah, no, let's just double it up. Another land. Alright. 2-turn lethal. And they do not draw an out. We just got really lucky. We got into a top deck war. We won the top deck war. Not much else to say than that. It all came down to who can draw better in the end, and we drew a little bit better in the end, so. Won some coin flips. We are now 5-2, which means we're in the money, getting straight value out of this event. Super happy to take it this far with this deck. But I'll keep it up as best as I can, see if we can't get any more wins before we bow out. Alright, here we are on the play for round number 8. This hand I think is too slow. No creatures till turn 4. It's got great mana, but I take the mulligan here. Okay, this is still pretty good mana, and now it starts on turn 2 with a 2-mana 2/2. Get rid of Bladed Battle Fan, I think. Keep the aerial boost for its cheap cost, thanks to Convoke. Our opponent is on blue with a turn 1 Captive Weird. Very, very good card. Well, my 2/2's not going to attack into that, but my 3/1 Swordsworn Cavalier sure will, so let's lead with that. We are playing against blue-black, my favorite archetype in the format. I think it's the strongest. Blue-white Knights is also quite strong, but I think blue and black are the best colors individually. Slapping them together, that bread and butter, can lead to some really nice decks. Tetsuko Umezawa is the play. Unblockable 1/3 makes all of their other 1-power toughness cards unblockable too. We did not hit a land here. I just offer Cavalier trades. Pretty okay with whatever trades off. Could also just aerial boost here. I think I'd rather trade an aerial boost than whoa. I'd rather kill Captive Weird than Tetsuko. Let's kill the Captive Weird. Let them keep Umezawa. Alright, turn 3. They do hit land number 3 and drop a Bloated Processor. That is a very good card. It's a 3-mana 3/2. When it dies, they get a 3/3 Incubator at minimum. Could be a little better with other Phyrexians on the board, but that is the baseline, which is quite a good card. Not super happy with my trades anymore. Could exile that thing, I guess, but that's also still getting a 2-for-1 on me because I have to sack Cavalier to do that. Just gonna play a 2/2 and pass, and if they attack, I'll block with the 2/2, I guess. They do hit land number 4 now. Drop down a Timuret, Chosen from Death, and a Skyclave Aerialist. We have now hit land number 3. There's nothing to get value off of right now with Guardian of Ghirapur, but I will have a 3/3 flying blocker, which means, I guess, I can't block the Aerialist until they flip it. Once they flip the Aerialist, it'll be a 2/4, which means that it will be blockable. It won't get the unblockable ability from Tetsuko anymore, but they'll just attack and then flip it post-combat if I play Guardian. Yeah, I'm just going to Convoke out the Knight. Yikes. No cards drawn off Knight Errant of Eos. A sad day. Land number 5 for our opponent and Invasion of Amonkhet. One of the strongest battles in the format. Gonna force us to drop another card here. We really just don't have expendable stuff for this invasion. Guess I just sack a 2/2. Probably gonna have to keep hold of that. They've got another. They got 2 Invasion of Amonkhet in their deck, minimum. Oh my god, yeah, I need to hold on to Invasion of New Capenna. Goodbye, Bolaslinger. If they flip this Invasion of Amonkhet, which is really easy for them to do, then they get a 4/4 version of Furia, which should be pretty easy for them to cast 2 spells in 1 turn. In blue-black, the archetype that has a lot of card draw off of stuff like Invasion of Amonkhet and Captive Weird and all of that. So they get a 4/4 Furia. Not even just a Furia, but a stronger Furia. And they're just going to poke the Invasion for 2, rather than flip it immediately. There's no way to get Guardian of Gear per value here, but I don't have anything else to do. I might as well play a 3/3 flyer. Still can't really attack in. I guess I could send the Knight Errant in, but they can double block with Timuret Bloated Processor. Kill the Bloated Processor, not the Timuret. They'd incubate, or I kill the Timuret and not the Processor, and yeah, it's just not a great deal either way. Alright, Timuret is going to start exiling some graveyards, gaining some life. And Invasion of Amonkhet is getting flipped. And there's Furia. Judge of Valor. And there's a second spell and a Xerox Strobe Knight, so every time they double spell, draw a card out of the top 3 and get a 2/2 Knight. Okay. They can at least exile Furia, but we are miles behind card advantage-wise. And we're miles behind on board as well. Doesn't feel like there's anything that could really change this. If we had like a Sunfall in our deck, some kind of Mega Bomb like Sunfall or Breach the Multiverse, maybe one of those cards would do it, but the snowball has rolled quite far in our opponent's favor. Getting poked for 3 unblockable damage. I mean, the one thing I could have done differently this game, or the main thing I could have done differently this game, was to kill the Tetsuko instead of the Captive Weird, but I feel like the ability to draw additional cards while still committing more power to the board is a lot more important early in the game in those formative turns. It's obviously panned out pretty poorly for us, but that was my thinking there. I don't think it's like a punt or a definitely wrong decision, but it certainly has worked out very poorly for us. I think it's at worst like a moderately incorrect. Like maybe you get punished for letting them keep Tetsuko slightly more often. But I could see things going just as bad in the other direction, letting them keep the Captive Weird and just get natural card advantage there. Yeah, I can't do anything about that. Redrawing a Guardian of Gearper isn't really going to get me anywhere here. I guess I have to just bottom it. But if I'm bottoming a card like Guardian of Gearper, what on earth am I hoping to draw? We know what's in our deck, and none of it does much in this kind of position. getting hit for 1,000,000 unblockable damage now. Part of that is just because we don't have any flyers left from all their removal. We'd still be getting beaten down pretty hard now, even without Tetsuko. Are we dead yet? I don't think we're dead yet. Oh. We can't go home yet. We're still here. Okay, now we're dead. Now we can go home. Take a nap. Alright, that was a pretty bad game for us. Our opponent's deck is definitely quite a bit stronger than ours, and we also had some pretty bad mana issues. Started off the game really slow mana-wise. So, I don't think this was a super winnable game for us. Certainly not a particularly winnable matchup if this were best 2 out of 3 or anything like that. Just the blue-black deck. Very high-quality stuff. Alright, so that is going to end our run. We are 5-3, which I think is a super reasonable, super great place to be with this deck. Kind of been on a roll lately, past few videos, which has been great. Feels good. 5-3, not a bad run at all, especially for this deck. I don't think this deck was incredible. Nice average deck here. It's got some rares in it, but they're not like mega bombs. Invasion of Ravnica, Knight Errant of Eos are just pretty good. The Furia was a huge overperformer. I will give it that much. This played a lot better than I thought when I was drafting it during the draft pod. I think once we got into the deck building, I was a lot higher on it when I saw all of the potential synergies that we had. But now that I have played with it a little bit in this format, I think I will start taking it a little bit higher. When I am already in the black-white archetype, I don't think it's a huge reason to push towards that archetype still, but when you're in the archetype with enough cheap spells, it does play super nice, because she kind of single-handedly won us that game early on that we just could not hit our black source for quite some time. Once we finally did, she really got us very far ahead in card advantage, made sure that we just kept hitting gas with that ability to keep digging for more spells. She played super, super well, and you have to give a huge buff to your card evaluations based on how good the flavor text is, and that makes Furia kind of a premium card if you're in black-white. Invader after invader fell before her, and to each she spoke a single word. Unworthy. That's so badass. Oh my god, it's such a cool flavor text. So, MVP goes to Furia Judge of Valor. Biggest overperformer goes to Furia Judge of Valor. Biggest underperformer goes to Alabaster Host Intercessor. I don't think we cast a single copy because we were frequently below 6 mana, and having to cycle them instead of just playing a land played out pretty poorly. So I think this deck honestly might have just been better with 17 lands, cutting both Intercessors and just putting something else in, like another Seraph. Although the Seraph did not play particularly well, maybe putting in a Dune Shaper or an Invasion of Volgrotha would have been fine over the Intercessors. But at least playing a 17th land over one of the 2 Intercessors I think would have played out pretty well. Sunder of the Gateway also played out pretty weak, but it was a pretty filler 2-drop in the first place. We already knew that going in. Nothing else I think was particularly horrible or particularly incredible, at least in terms of being a lot better than I thought or a lot worse than I thought. Invasion of New Capenna was really bad in that last game, but it was pretty solid in one of those earlier games. Pylon and Deadly Derision were absolutely phenomenal, but I already knew that. The combat tricks were solid, we already knew that. Yeah, no other really huge disparities between how well I thought the card would do and how well the card did do, outside of Furia doing a lot better than I thought it would, and the Intercessors doing a lot worse than I thought they would. So that is, oh my god, I'm not trying, I already played all my games. Don't make me submit my deck again. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and claim our prizes now, but that is going to end today's event, and that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons very much for supporting this channel, as well as you for watching the videos. If you're interested in seeing more of the videos, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. Other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.